Go Blue, everybody. Joel KLATT shared some comments about Santa Ono's departure, and we have thoughts. Also, a little bit of recruiting news, and Michigan, Nebraska 97, the debate of the century. Mark Rogers, voice of college football, will be joining us later to talk about it. It's all coming up on Michigan Wolverines Live. And welcome back to another episode of Michigan Wolverines Live. My name's John D'Adamo, and I'm going to be your host for the next hour and a half or so. We're almost there, folks. It's episode 199. The next one will be our 200th show. We're coming to you live from YouTube. We're coming to you from X. We're coming to you from Twitch. And don't forget that on your commute, you can listen to us on radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, iHeart. Go ahead and listen to us. Go ahead and leave a rating or a review. It's most appreciated. As you join us, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe, hit the bell, and share this out with at least one friend. If everybody shares the YouTube link out to their friends, to their message boards, to their Discord chats, to their Facebook groups, whatever the case may be, then we're only going to keep the word spread on all of this. And last but not least, go ahead and send us a super chat. It just takes a second. And of course, that puts your comment, your question for us to the top of the queue. It guarantees that your comment or question will be on screen. So send us a super chat, and that's how we'll make that happen. And as always, holding it down on the other side here with our new backdrop, TJ in the house.
Yeah, man. I got the new theme going, which I'm a big fan of. I like it. Looks good. And yeah, man, another show. Not a lot to talk about with recruiting, but we do have some updates there, and we'll get into that also. I'm sure some people saw our update on what is going on with recruiting. We'll touch on that again. But yeah, I mean, end of the day, there's always something to talk about with Michigan, so we'll definitely hit on a few topics. John, looking forward to the show.
Michigan always keeps things interesting, sometimes a little too interesting, but here we go. Marmar's here. Appreciate you. Mike Anderson's here. Lance in the house. Russell Harris is here. Mitten Maid with the hammer and the third base. And yes, a little bit more on Ono, but this is a little bit of a different topic, I promise. Aaron's here. Thank you all so much. And of course, Jackson Johnson, who I like to call the chief marketing officer, getting the noise amplified officer. Jackson does it really well. And he's always supporting all of the channels and one of our social media team members. So thank you so much for being here and for posting our socials. Very, very cool. And Slade says, love the new backdrop. So there you go.
Thank you.
Thanks, Slade. And Jackson also saying it. Let's help TJ get his IG to 1,000 followers.
Yeah, I just created that thing. I'm not on it as much as I should be. I will be on it more, but quite honestly, there's not a lot in terms of recruiting. There's just not a lot right now. So I haven't been on it too much, but currently at 48. You guys want to follow me on Instagram? It is TJ_Ronin. Greatly appreciate that. We'll get that thing going in gear not too distant future.
There we go. All right. And with that said, we're caught up. So definitely start hitting the super chat. If you have a comment or question that you want us to answer, please go ahead and do that. Later in the show, we are going to be joined by Mark Rogers, voice of college football, and we're going to be talking about the 1997 Michigan-Nebraska debate that has raged on for decades now and is still going strong. All right, let's go ahead and start with this. So Joel KLATT is a show that I try to catch the Joel KLATT show as much as I can, because I think that when it comes to the overall football knowledge, he's very tapped in. I like hearing when he's off talking to X, Y, and Z coach or player, and he's getting that intel and everything else. But I do think that on this particular thing that he talked about, which was the self-imposed punishment for Sharon Moore, there were kind of two things that I wanted to touch on. For those of you who have not seen it, the key point that he made, or the first key point, is that he believes that he called it self-serving for Michigan to self-impose a 2-game suspension for Sharon Moore, and specifically talking about the fact that Michigan picked Central Michigan and Nebraska as opposed to New Mexico and Oklahoma, given that Bryce Underwood, it'll be his first 2 starts. Sharon Moore's alma mater is Oklahoma. So he's arguing that this is self-serving, to basically to get out in front of whatever punishment Michigan may or may not receive. And on the one hand, I get where he was going. In other words, like, if there is a significant punishment coming, then coming out in front of it with 2 games and games 3 and 4, like, from that point of view, you can kind of see where the hamster wheel was going there. But at the same time, I think self-serving goes a bit far. Like, a lot of us, including me, said, fight this and don't self-impose anything. So
yeah, I don't like the self-serving. I mean, if it was self-serving, if it was really self-serving, and we talked about this before the show, John, they would have did the non-conference game, Central Michigan, New Mexico. That's as self-serving as it gets. I mean, if anything, it's just Michigan trying to move forward and appease a government body who is not going to let up, right? Like, I don't think self-serving is the correct term. I think what Michigan is doing is, I think it's what they need to do to move forward. That's what they're doing. They're trying to abide by their sins, even though I think we would all disagree. Deleted text messages that show absolutely nothing, that have been recovered that show nothing, probably shouldn't deserve 2 games. So like, I guess there's the argument there. Like, how's it self-serving, John, if the reason for the suspension is because he deleted text messages, evidence that had absolutely nothing tied to Connor Steins and Signgate? So where's the self-serving? If anything, we are being over-punished. Sharon Moore is being over-punished for a crime that has nothing in it but deleted 52 text messages or whatever the hell it is. Like, I don't know. So self-serving, I don't. And, like, listen, I'm actually a big fan of Joel Klatt. I like him. I'd put him in the top 3 of football analysts right now in the sport. But not only do I disagree with him on the self-serving aspect, and I know we didn't touch on it yet, but his what he thinks occurred with Ono and why he moved on to Florida is way off path. He's not informed at all.
Yeah.
So, and for those who don't know, and I guess we'll just hit on it, Joel Klatt's insinuating that he went to Florida because something's coming from the NCAA. That couldn't be further from the truth. And if you watched our show, you'd know we covered it. We covered what occurred behind the scenes in the regions who were involved. And I also got word. So another individual I was talking to personally mentioned there's actually another region. I won't name the name. We'll leave it alone. But there's another region involved as well who was a part of that. So, so he's dead wrong on the Santa Ono situation. So it is what it is. I mean, he's also doing his best to give his perspective on it. But I also think maybe you should be mindful on what you're saying if you don't know and like, he has connections. I feel like it wouldn't be hard for him to figure it out or learn from somebody. Regardless, point being is I disagree with self-serving, and he was definitely wrong on his Ono take.
Yeah, he really kind of went off the deep end on the Santa Ono piece, because I think that the first part, like, I kind of was following him. I didn't agree with the term he used, but I understood what he meant. But then when he started to lump it all together, which he's not the only one doing this. but he is, I think this is something worth kind of just calling out, right? So he said you have Michigan trying to get out in front of a suspension for their head coach, Sharon Moore, the president leaving for, and I just put Florida there, but he said leaving for a job that we all would assume isn't as prestigious. So something's coming. It's likely very large and could even be financial. Well, financial from it, if we're talking about a fine, we all have been saying that there's going to be maybe the largest fine ever imposed in history.
That's right.
That's been a consistent. We've been reporting on that for a while.
We have been saying that for a year.
Right.
I've said it for the longest time. This show has said we are anticipating the largest fine in NCAA history going to Michigan. Like, and for those who don't know, and John, I think you're aware, I put $100 bet against an Ohio State fan. He's actually got a pretty large account on social media, essentially saying, I don't think there's gonna be any vacated games. I don't think there's gonna be postseason bowl bans. Okay. I'm quite confident in that. And so what I'm thinking is going to occur, John, and we've talked about this, I kind of feel like sometimes we're walking down the same path over and over again, but listen, there's going to be a fine. There's going to be recruiting restrictions. We're probably going to be put on a 2 to 3 year probation. Okay. Not bowl bans, but a probation period where the NCAA will, if we do anything in that period, then that obviously would be bad. And then you will see show causes for coaches like Jim Harbaugh, Connor Stallions, Chris Partridge. Okay, you'll see that. I'm not sure if I know there's been some word that potentially the NCAA feels that the Sharon Moore suspension actually will meet the what they're looking for. There's been some rumblings that maybe the NCAA is pleased with Michigan's 2-game suspension, but I can't say I know that. I've heard it. I've heard the rumors, but I can't say I know it. And but so if that is true, if Sharon's going to get a 2-game suspension, and then the rest of the coaches, Harbaugh, Stallions, Partridge, they deal with show causes for however how long those are, it is what it is. I mean, like, I really just do not see vacated wins. I do not see vacated national title not happening, vacated Big Ten titles or bowl bans. Don't see it, bro. I do not see it.
Yeah. And by the way, Chris Ballas and some people have been saying they don't take as much stock in what he says as others. Whoever you want to go with, Chris Ballas, Isaiah Hole, they've all been pretty consistent that a postseason ban, vacated wins, these things are not happening. Yeah, these things are very, very, very unlikely. And while nobody knows 100%, I mean, when you have that level of consensus and that level of, it's so rare these days, TJ, to be certain about something, and it feels like Chris is certain like that there will not be these things. So, like, yeah, I guess what would you?
Even Josh Pate feels the same way. Josh Pate says he does not think that there will be any extreme punishment. There's not going to be some hammer, and there's not. I mean, it's listen. A lot of us know, and I know we got some Buckeyes watching. Listen, the Pied Piper Buckeye Scoop is leading the charge, and then you got Justin Spiro on the Sparty little brother side of things, and they're leading the charge between these rival fan bases, and these rivals are wet dreaming over a bowl ban, vacated wins, all this extra shit. But like anybody who has some type of I don't want to say influence, but resources within college football, whether it be your Josh Pates, whether it be other insiders or other things like Chris Ballas, etc. Nobody feels that we're going to get these hard punishments that the rivals so badly want, and it just doesn't logically make sense either. And to Garrison, I see Garrison. He goes, "Well, shouldn't Sharon Moore get a show cause for what, bro? Deleting text messages that show absolutely nothing tied to Signgate because he disrupted evidence." Well, he's now getting that punishment. It's a 2-game, currently as it stands, a 2-game suspension. We'll see if the NCAA does approve that publicly, or if they're looking for 4 games or 3 games. Who knows? I don't know. I can't say I know. But at the end of the day, I mean, I just don't feel like the biggest things that are going to hurt Michigan in this, John, is being on probation for a few years and some recruiting restrictions, which we are going through one right now. We're going through a recruiting restriction of 4 weeks, which is kicking our ass. Now Michigan will rally, and I'm gonna tell you right now, money solves everything in recruiting, so have no fear because Michigan has it. But we're dry. Recruiting's dry as shit right now, and you'll find out in the recruiting update. Again, we got some things for you, but it's not how it's been. So bear with us on that. Don't get mad at me. I just report the news, but yeah. So I mean, it is what it is. But I mean, thankfully Michigan. But see, here's the thing too. So maybe this is self-serving, John. Michigan chose their 4-week of recruiting restrictions in May and the end of April, after they did all their visits and after they had recruits come for spring practice. So again, this is a down period before what? Official visits. Because at the end of the day, it hurt, like the cost or the impact on not being able to go visit these kids is going to be far less when these kids can come to you on the university's dime. Right. So I mean, it's end of the day, it's just not, it sucks because we got to deal with it. And like our guy Moose says, like, I'm getting tired of talk. We, no question, as a fan base, have hit a fatigue discussing the scandal. And what's unfortunate is we are not going to get a resolution until mid to late summer. So I mean, it is what it is. We just got to get through it, ride through it. Yeah. So we'll get there. We'll get there though.
Yeah. Yeah. I like I said, I think could there be scholarships taken away?
Oh,
yeah, but what impact is that going to have?
There's no scholarships anymore. It's done. Scholarships are done. That's not it.
What can they really do anymore is the question.
Well, an interesting one is, so let's say, okay, so we know they can't do scholarships, right? But here's an interesting thought. Can they put a cap on revenue share? Could they limit your revenue share to your football team? I don't know. The new territory we're in. We know Michigan's going to do 75%. I believe it's 75% to the football team. So, and I think, what is it? It's 15 to basketball, 75. It's 75 for football, 15 for basketball, and 10 to the rest, I think, is how they're going to do it, is what I last heard. So,
okay. Well, that would make logical sense. I was very concerned it would be evenly split with like water polo, and I know I mentioned that one a lot.
No, thankfully they wised up. Yeah, a year ago those discussions were being had. But if anyone has seen what Michigan hockey's doing, Michigan hockey might be winning a natty pretty soon, boys. They're getting some elite talent, first-round NHL draft picks coming to Michigan, and the word is there's more coming, by the way. So I know we don't cover hockey a lot, but pretty exciting news for the hockey team. Yeah,
that's awesome. Obviously, any Michigan national championship, we'll take them all.
We'll take them.
And regardless of sport,
hockey needs one. It's been a minute. Colorado passed us national titles. We can't have that.
No, absolutely
not Colorado, Denver.
Absolutely not. GT in the house with the 5. Speaking of Michigan State, I feel bad for their athletic department and lack of NIL funding. They currently have less to work with than Tiger Woods' barber. Ouch! Tiger Woods catching strays on this episode.
You should have said LeBron James.
But yeah, that would have been.
I'm just a LeBron James hater. Don't mind me. Speaking of the NBA rigging things, just kidding. Did you see that lottery, John? Jesus. Did you see what happened with Dallas winning the lottery?
I heard that they did.
Yeah, 1.8% chance.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyways.
Well, yeah, Michigan State. Listen, you see Spyro on Buckeye Scoop, and gloating about stuff, and well, his program's gone 4-8 the last couple of years. So what he's got to focus on something, right? He might as well talk shit about Michigan for a while.
Well, it is the UAL. It's the United Alliance of losers, bro. When you got Michigan State coming together with the Ohio State Buckeyes, it's the United Alliance of losers, and they never fail. See, Michigan State they got to stand behind Ohio State to feel tough, to feel big, because they can't do it on their own. So it's the most little brother mentality of little brother mentalities to have somebody else get your victories for you. They want Ohio State to win so they can feel a victory. That's so sad. Hate to see it. Not really, though. It's actually enjoyable.
Absolutely. We do have a very interesting dialogue going on, and I do see a couple of different Buckeyes in here, and talking about the deleting text is the crime or whatever it was.
It is.
And I get it. Look, is it something? And Isaiah Holt said, I thought something really great about this, where he basically said, look, was this advisable? Was this technically correct? No. But I even demonstrated how easy it was to swipe off of. I did it on the last episode just for funsies. Like, that's how easy it is to get rid of stuff. Boom.
Yeah, but I was very honest. I think it was our show, John. Maybe it was the call-in show. I don't know. I would have deleted my text too. Why would I not? I don't want those fucking things on my phone. And guess what? Nothing was on them. So like we have Buckeyes saying, well, he deleted his text. Okay. What'd they find? Let me know. What'd they find? Nothing. So what are we crying about? He deleted text messages. Oh my, they want a punishment so fucking bad. They're losing their common sense, bro. They found nothing on the text messages. So what now? Okay, evidence was destroyed. All right, well, he's getting 2 games. He's getting, as it stands now, he's getting 2 games. Are you happy? No, because you want fucking blood, but you're not going to get it. You're not going to get it.
They want to vacated nat. They want to lose. They want us to lose our natty. They want us to lose the Big Ten championship wins. That's what they want. So nothing will satisfy, and that's why I think that that's why I think what's interesting is that we've kind of said all along, and that the diehard Michigan fans aren't going to be thrilled by what happens, but Ohio and MSU are going to be equally not thrilled because because the vacated title, the vacated wins, the bowl bans, those things are just not happening, I don't think. And part of it is the reality of where we're at in college football right now with the revenue, where networks are, and Josh Pate talked about this too. He also said we might get vacated wins, but Josh Pate basically said, like, they're not going to allow a lot of punishment on the 25, 26, 27 because it impacts the revenue for all across the board.
Michigan is like a top 3 program for TV revenue. And but I'm going to be real, I'm not hanging my hat on that. The reality is they don't have much, and like Garrison's like, well, admit what happened. Brother, we are admitting text messages were deleted. We're just saying it's fucking weak. It's 3 over the speed limit. And you want a 15 over, and you want 5 points put on my damn insurance. That's what you want. But we went 3 over the speed limit. Get off my back, officer. Jesus.
Well, listen, I think that's a good way of putting it. I think the NCAA realized they don't have a lot of hard evidence when it comes to the actual sign gate. It's a lot of the evidence provided by people who had some off the field issues. One was a pedophile. There are some major witness credibility issues in the evidence that was delivered, right? And ulterior motives for why some of that might have been shared. And because of that, now they're going to this text deletion thing because it's very open and shut. He did it. That's the end of it. But I do think it's interesting that that's what's being talked about now. And I think part of that is just because they don't have a lot of proof when it comes to this nefarious stealing scheme that was larger than anything in a century, and all of the things that Pete Thamel was saying in the beginning.
Yeah. All right. Garrison says he's going to call into the call-in show Thursday after his call-in show is what he just said.
Okay. Well, I look forward to it.
You're invited, Garrison. We could talk it. We can have that combo. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I just I don't know. I'm ready for this to be done though, because we might have to do another receipt video, John. We may have to. I may have to do some collection of receipts, and we're definitely going to cook some mofos. I'll tell you that.
Can't wait.
And maybe a biannual thing. You know, we did one in November. We may have to do another one in like July.
Hey, I'm down for it. Receipt. I love reading receipts from all the Buckeyes when they say things like, "Hey, we haven't won, or we're gonna beat you in another 364 days." And the hang 100 comment was a fun one, and all. This will just be an extension of that, and so it'll be a lot of fun. But so let's talk about a couple of housekeeping things real quick. So obviously we have memberships. So YouTube memberships at Michigan Football, the voice of college football, starting at just $2.99 a month. The link is right in the chat if you want to support us by becoming a member. If you want access to our next members only stream, which is coming up now, go ahead and hit that and go at least with the $4.99. Those who stay will be champions option, because that way you're going to be in when we have the members only stream. You get all the emojis, you get all the benefits, and then obviously the Connor Stallions espionage team is the highest level of membership, and that's where you can actually have a suggestion box and help steer the show if there's a particular topic, a particular area. I don't know if you guys remember, we did the mock draft video. That was a Connor Stallions espionage idea. We did a full breakdown on Chip Lindsey's offense a couple months ago. That was a Connor Stallions espionage idea. So we do take those ideas and we will include them on the show. So definitely consider becoming a member here at Michigan at Voice of College Football. In addition to that, if you have a business, product, service, personal brand, any of the above, you can benefit from a sponsorship here at the Voice of College Football, either this channel or any of our channels. What you're going to do is you're going to email sponsorships@vocfb.com and hit us up, and we will help you out and come up with structure a package that makes sense for you, for your goals as a business. Promote your product, promote your service, promote your personal brand. Just email sponsorships@vocfb.com. And finally, TJ and team have been working on our new website. So this is really cool. If you haven't gone yet, vocfb.com. There's a couple of key articles, obviously just released today. Matt Zemek, who a lot of you know from the USC channel, heads this up, does a great job. Some really interesting articles on Julian Sayin and Ohio State, Texas, the Cleveland Browns situation that Matt wrote an article about with Shedeur Sanders and Dylan Gabriel, which I do think is very interesting. It sounds like the Browns is being the Browns all over again, and creating a quarterback situation, because there's like 5 quarterbacks right now in that room. So lots of interesting topics, and then here are some of the writers that are part of this.
Yeah, and if you can, John, go to the forums section. I want to show our community the forums, because we are currently building our forums out. They are becoming more functional. We're still in I would say a bit of a beta test. But right now, if you look at our forums, you will see there's a Michigan tab. Click that. Go scroll down, John. Go to Michigan right there. Up. Right there. Above Ohio State, of course. And you guys can create your own topics. We can start getting discussions going. I'll hop in there. We'll have some conversations. I know we have some individuals who've been asking to be a part of our forums. Well, now we can start creating topics, start having conversations, start having dialogue, talking more ball. This is a home for you. If you guys want to talk ball amongst the community, this is a great place. We're currently building the forms now, and they should be fully ready. You'll see GT's already been there, but we'll get there. You know, the forms are still in a, I would say, developmental phase, but they're getting to the point where they're ready to be fully. I mean, they're already ready. They're ready to be fully active and engaged with. So go over there, check them out, and have some fun.
Yeah, it's a great time, and obviously the articles that we're putting out there, it's good content. Matt Zemek's legit, and really love that he took on that role as editor-in-chief for the site. So check it out, vocfb.com, whenever you get a chance.
Yeah.
We do have another super chat here from Bull. I swear if we barely get penalized over this, Buckeye Scoop should be lit on fire. Well,
I don't know about lit on fire. Let's not go that far. But should he? Yeah, yes. Listen, I'm gonna tell you this. I'm gonna tell you this right now, and this is gonna go both ways. Okay, this is gonna go both ways, whether we're right or we're wrong. When this gets resolved, one of the sides, whether it's us or them, is gonna own this fucking shit. I'm gonna tell you that right now, and I'm gonna tell you we're not letting it go. I'm not letting it go. They better not let it. You can own it. Let it. I'll own it. If I'm wrong, I'll own it. But you better believe we're going to be taking names. We will be taking names, and we're not going to forget on this channel. We may forgive, not really. No, we won't. And we definitely are not going to forget, John. And I'm going to tell you right now, the bodyguards of Buckeye Scoop, and they know who they are. They're probably even watching right now. I'll definitely be coming back. You feel me? We'll be talking. And any other Buckeyes who've had some words, we'll be talking. So, and we're not going to let it go either. We may do, you know what, John? We may do a new segment where it's receipt of the week. And we just bring up a good receipt over the last 3 years that is absolutely crazy and just call them out. We might do that. I'm petty like that. I'll do that. But
yeah.
But if we're wrong, John, we got to own it.
Yep.
And we will. I'll take it now. If that's what it comes to, I will, but I don't think I will.
Listen, I don't understand when people say we don't own. When we're wrong, we say we're wrong.
Good. Bro, I know. So there's been some things behind the scenes. We won't get into it. But there was a take recently saying that I don't own when I'm wrong. I don't think that's true. I feel like I own when I own when I'm wrong. Like I don't know. There's not an occasion I can think of where I was wrong that I didn't accept it. You know, but
yeah, we might have to make a clip. If this continues, we may have to do like a clip composite of all the times we said we were wrong, because we definitely have. Yeah,
so I mean, although I don't know if I got the time for that, John. But
yeah, no, that would be a.
I don't know if I got time to go back into the archives.
Yeah.
But, long story short, we own our shit here, you know. But at the end of the day, John, and you know, and I know, we're more right than wrong. We've been right about a lot. We've been ahead of the game. About a lot. And, you know, we're just doing our best. You know, we're not always right, but we do our best.
Bull is back with another one, DJ Khaled, with the background is fire. We're moving on up. Yeah, it's the new backdrop. So all of the channels have, if you go to some of the other shows, you'll see a similar format, but obviously different colors, and the show is different. But this way, it's a little bit more standard now across the entire network of shows. But I love this backdrop. I think it's a good one.
Yeah, hey, I started some comments, John.
Oh, snap.
Juju. All right, hey, actually, you know what? All right, great idea. Let's pull Juju's comment up. I have a great idea. Community, start bookmarking receipts, because we'll cook them. We'll cook them together. We'll do a call in. We'll have fun. I have a great idea. Start bookmarking. Moose, I know you know, Moose. Moose, start bookmarking these clowns. Everyone just bookmark these crazy takes, because what we'll do is when this gets resolved and it's not the hammer they all want, it's cooking season, because we're cooking.
Martin.
And then Martin Snyder, that's a smart man. He knows ball. He knows ball. Appreciate it, Martin.
Certified ball knower. Slade says, I feel were we down on Justin Tress in the beginning? I think that there were probably times when we were doubting it, but I think that we've defended him more often than we haven't. So
Justin
don't know.
Tress. Oh, the strength and conditioning
Strength and
coach.
conditioning coach. Yeah.
So my position on Justin Tress was it's to be proven. Look, what we said was he's not Ben Herbert because, quite honestly, no one is. Ben Herbert's the highest paid strength and conditioning coach in the nation. Now, what we did say this in, I think it was either December or January. Justin Tress appears to be proving himself. And what I said, John, was let's see with the weight numbers in June and July. And if they are what they've been in terms of weight gained, good weight gain, good weight lost, etc. If we see another cycle of that, then Justin Tress should have our full trust. But yes, Justin Tress, but to Slade's point, Justin Tress was an individual where we were skeptical if he was the right man for the job. We weren't sure. But the way the season ended, the way the guys fought through to fourth quarters, he appears to have carried the torch to the best, to a high level at least.
Absolutely. So in about 2 minutes, we're going to bring on Mark Rogers, Voice of College Football. We do have one quick recruiting note to hit on. We don't have a lot of recruiting topics today, but we did obviously just have the breaking news a few hours ago. Jackson Cantwell has officially selected Miami as his destination. NIL was a factor, but also Mario Cristobal being an offensive line focused head coach was a factor. And so that decision was officially announced today.
Well, we know what the real factor was, John.
Cash.
Blank checks, baby. Yeah, cash money. We all know he was going to the highest bidder, and that's what turned him off from Michigan. Not that Michigan won't spend, but Michigan's not in a position where they can guarantee amounts. And because of that, Jackson Cantwell went to the highest bidder. Miami was the highest bidder. It is what it is. I'm not mad. This isn't a knock against Miami. We know Miami has this capability. They have the capacity to do that. But the thing about Miami is, although they had a pretty solid year, they lose a lot of kids because of this type of approach. Now, again, that's not to be negative because Michigan's also playing this game to an extent, but I'm not surprised to see him go to Miami over everybody. Georgia, Ohio State, it is what it is. Miami's a big spender in the game.
Yeah, so not shocked, and I would also not be shocked if a move is made to Georgia at some point.
What's interesting is, and I can't confirm this. I'll try and find out, but there was rumors that his number was approaching 2 million, which is nuts. That'd be the highest I've heard of an offensive tackle getting out of high school.
Yeah, I've seen in the million range, but 2 is
typically it would be like 1.5, but apparently this was approaching 2.
So aside from Cantwell, we did so CJ Sadler had an interview recently, wide receiver CJ Sadler talking about some of his visits that are being planned. He's going to Colorado, he's going to North Carolina, he's going to Maryland, and Michigan is in the works as well. So Sadler's still on the board for Michigan.
Yeah, I would categorize him, and I actually made a little list here, John. I would categorize him as one of the players I'm confident in being Michigan's class. CJ Sadler's one of those. He's just going to go through the recruiting process like a lot of these kids will. At the end of the day, there's nothing wrong with that. But I anticipate CJ Sadler being in the class. Malachi Lee, I feel very good about Malachi Lee. I feel good about Marky Walbridge. I feel good about Leo Delaney, CJ Sadler, and then Matt Moose Ludwig. That's who I feel the best about right now. But other than that, and as we talked about last week, John, Michigan is currently in a recruiting dead period because they cannot make contact with any recruits. So they're just sitting by. You ever see that video of Patrick, or not that video, that meme of Patrick and SpongeBob running outside and you got Squidward looking inside,
Yeah.
That's Michigan right now. They can't have any fun, so everyone else is playing ball and Michigan's got to sit on the sideline. So recruiting has been hard, or there just hasn't been much to discuss, unfortunately. And I think we have one more week of it, and then we can finally probably talk a lot more about it.
Yeah, this is the last remnants of Burger Gate are being served out right now. So
we got a week left.
That's what's happening. So we'll hit these real quick. Bull is celebrating 11 months of membership, reminding people to like the video, sub, best Michigan show on all of YouTube. Wow. That is a big statement right there.
Thank you.
That
yeah,
means a lot.
Yeah.
Nick, damn, John, you've been working out. Keep it up, brah. Well, thank you for that. This shirt's one of my, it definitely accentuates. But also I wear it because obviously it's a Michigan show. You got the Block M. And Lance, 6 months, go blue to you too as well, Lance. Now, the guy we're about to bring up, I just want to say something real quick. Without Mark Rogers, voice of college football, we're not on the air probably. So I don't have a show. I'm not able to have the power to call up TJ and say,
Nope.
"Hey, I really like your recruiting takes on X. You want a guest for an episode?" And none of this would be happening whatsoever without Mark Rogers, voice of college football. So I'm really excited to bring him on for the first time in a while on Michigan Live. Mark, it's good to have you back on.
Great to see both of you guys, definitely. And I would like to respond to the comment that was made about this being the best Michigan show on YouTube. I will say it this way, that I never claimed to have much talent, but I think I'm a heck of a talent evaluator. I'll put it that way.
Very true. Very true, Mark. Yeah, and to John's point, we are not here without you. So thank you very much for that. But question, Mark, when was the last time you were on here? The spring game last year?
Oh, dang.
I think it was. That's a year. All right, we gotta change that. We gotta change that. You gotta come on more than that.
Yeah, Door, you know, Door is all you've got. You could just pop in one day if randomly if you wanted to.
No, we gotta do more. Yeah, that's crazy though. I was just thinking about that because it has been a year.
Yeah, what was the setup for the spring game last year? Certainly wasn't as elaborate as you guys put together this year. That's for sure.
Yeah, it was a good time. Next year's gonna be even better though. We're gonna do it even bigger next year. So we'll have a good time with that.
Yeah, we've started a new tradition, I feel like.
It was awesome. To Ann Arbor. It was awesome to behold. I enjoyed it.
Well, Mark, obviously you're always welcome here, but I know that you came for a specific reason because you wrote a book, and I have been telling everybody go to an Amazon near you since it came out, and recommend everybody read it. Let us know in chat if you've picked up your copy yet. I know that there are some in chat who have, because I know who I could kind of see some of the people, and I know that they bought the book, so let us know. But obviously writing this, you've had all of these years in sportscasting, and then obviously voice of college football, building this network up. I mean, has Disputed National Champions been something that you've kind of been tossing around for a while? And what was kind of the inspiration behind putting this out?
Well, this probably won't surprise either one of you or certain people in the chat possibly that watch me on a regular basis. But I was the guy that wrote a 10,000 word term paper when I was 16 years old on why college football should have a 16 team playoff. And that's way before you heard anybody talking about a college football playoff. I was the guy that was writing pro football previews that were, this thick when I was, 15, 16 years old. So this was always up my alley in regards to my interests. And, to take it back before you two were watching Michigan football and a number of people in the chat, just think about a day and age when you would watch all the big bowl games on New Year's Day. And at the end of the night, you'd watch the Sugar Bowl, Orange Bowl. They were pretty much on at the same time. And you went to bed and you thought you knew who the national champion was, but you didn't know for sure. Now, how crazy is that? It's not like you watched the Super Bowl and were like, oh, well, we know who the champion is. You'd go to bed and you didn't know for sure who the champion was, but you would have to wait until you got the paper the next day and saw, oh, the AP writers said it was Nebraska and the coaches say it was Michigan. Well, I got that flipped, I believe. But yeah, that was the outcome. How crazy is that? So I always questioned that. When I first became a college football fan, 8, 9 years old, the first thing that seemed odd to me is you'd watch these games on New Year's Day and you'd be like, why is number 1 playing number 8? And number 2's playing number 5, and 3's playing like 17.
Yeah.
And then, it didn't take me long to get into it and be like, okay, I get it. They're related to the conferences and they got bowl tie-in, so I get it. And that's kind of cool that, the SEC champ's always going to go to the Sugar Bowl, and the Big Ten champ and the Pac-10 champ are going to be in the Rose Bowls. But sometimes it just didn't make sense. Like, you'd have this 11-0 team playing an 8-3 team, and you'd be like, well, I wish those two teams would play instead.
Yeah, I mean, what's interesting is we didn't like in those times before the BCS, it was just it was normal, right? So you wouldn't know, to your point, who is the true national championship, but it was accepted because it was just what it was. And then obviously as it progressed through time, they entered the BCS, which we're going to kind of get into here, Mark, is like the question becomes, was Michigan and Nebraska the cause for the BCS change, or was it one of the motivating factors to why FBS went into the BCS? What are your thoughts there on that and the Michigan-Nebraska matchup?
Well, one of the reasons I chose the 1990s is that, number one, I just figured my target audience was probably nostalgic for the 1990s. Number one, the 80s might be a little bit too beyond their reach, possibly. And so I just thought, yeah, guys that are in their 40s, let's say, would be nostalgic for the 1990s. But more principled than that, I chose the 1990s because that was the most formative decade in the history of college football in determining a champion. Because when you think about it, the AP poll was established in 1936. From 1936 into the 1990s, nothing changed.
Right.
Absolutely nothing changed. They just voted for the national champion after the bowl games. And there was this strange switch, like in the late 60s, early 70s, where this mindset changed among the writers, where they considered bowl games like exhibition games for most of that time. And they wouldn't even consider it a lot of times. And Michigan fans will be happy to know that I think it's ridiculous. Ohio State claims a national championship in 1970, and they lost the Rose Bowl. So, but then there was this flip to almost the exact opposite mindset once they got into the 70s, where the bowl games were almost like playoff games, where you couldn't win a national championship and have just lost a bowl game. Where I would argue that if it's just a data point and it's just another really good team that you played, you could be undefeated, lose a bowl game, and be 11-1 and have just as valid of a claim as somebody else who was 11-1. So all of that changed going into the 1990s, where they came up with this bowl alliance and bowl coalition, where they said, okay, we're going to put number one and we're going to have all these conference affiliations stay the same, unless it can be corrected by a 1-2 matchup. And then we'll move somebody that's supposed to play over here to play 1 versus 2. But the Big Ten being the Big Ten and a bit stubborn, and the Pac-10 having the alliance for the Big Ten, they were the two that said, no, we're not doing that. We're going to play in the Rose Bowl like we always have. So it took another 6-7 years to get those two on board for the BCS in 98. But to answer your question, it's almost just ironic that Nebraska and Michigan were the final two teams to share a national championship. And there's another thing that I don't agree with detractors of either school, and especially Michigan, that they won a half national championship. I don't see it that way. They won the national championship. They just did not get an opportunity to play. So both of those teams won a national championship in 1997. They just didn't get the opportunity to play the game that everyone wanted to see. But the BCS was already set up, and there was already impetus for the BCS, and that was already set up for the next season. Really, people point to 1991 when Washington and Miami went undefeated and did not play in the postseason and split a national championship as being the one that people thought, okay, 1 and 2 have to play. Let's get this settled.
Yeah, I hate the argument that, oh, it's a split national championship. Like, you want to fault the programs for a structure that they have. There's nothing they can do about it. The system was what it was, and the results are what they are. Like, it's if you would, I guarantee you ask either player on either side of Nebraska or Michigan, if they could go against each other and determine a national championship, every single one of them would say they would. It is what it is. It was a circumstance of the times and the rules back then. So yeah, I just hate that argument. I think it's what it really is, though, Mark, is it's what rival fans use to get a dig at the other, typically, right? That's what because and it's not that Ohio State doesn't have any split national championships, because they do, but typically the 97 one's the big one that everyone talks about.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in case anybody's got the book and they're following along, we're on Manning and Leaf Not Needed, Chapter 9, because neither one of those quarterbacks made it to the final, either number 1 or number 2, wherever you were, AP
I went with a little spin there, John, because those were the 2 top players selected in the NFL draft, and they lost the games to the 2 national championship teams in their bowl games.
Yeah. I think it's interesting. And GT is mentioning something that's in the book. So GT talking about Nebraska needing a miracle play to beat a bad Missouri team. Well, Mark addresses that. And so each chapter kind of is structured with, I really like the fact that there's not a lot of fluff. You go from preseason, you have the poll, then you focus mostly on the 2 in dispute, right, for the season. I mean, yeah, other teams are mentioned, but you don't go into who Bowling Green faced a lot it's basically, okay, Michigan did this, Nebraska did this. And so to GT's point, Nebraska did need that play to beat Missouri that season. But, you could say that they obviously came on quite strong in the end there with that Tennessee matchup. So I guess my question really here is that you've projected, right, some things. And I agree with you on the BCS championship. That's the no duh one, right? Sure. Michigan versus Nebraska. I would have loved to see that play out on a neutral site and to just let them play all out. Whoever wins. That would have been really nice to see. But the playoff projection, I think a lot of Michigan. A lot of our community would be very interested to hear the logic, and I really am curious on this. So you have Florida State beating Michigan 27-24. The Nebraska one's, I believe, the same. And then Nebraska actually beating Florida State to win the whole thing. That's a very interesting. So walk me through some of that and how Florida State was doing that year and kind of what went into that.
So I completely understand why you're pinpointing that. Obviously, Michigan won a national championship, and I'm giving some kind of projection that they would have lost to Florida State in a 1-4 matchup by a field goal. If you really look at the book, and I'll explain why I even put that in there, this book is about nothing of my opinion, except for that. That is the only thing. These Final Four projections is the rest of it is completely factual. This is what happened. This is how I've interpreted it, but it's all based on facts and results on the field. And then the fun part of the book was, there was no Big Ten championship game back then. The fun part was going through all these conferences and saying, this would have been the Big Ten championship game. It would have been Michigan and Nebraska. Well, I've got 2 sets of lineups there. I go with what would have been the Big Ten championship game that particular year. It would have been Ohio State and Michigan would have played a rematch. But if the teams that are in the Big Ten now and the same season would have played out, it would have been Michigan, Nebraska. So I give you both looks. And that's what's fascinating to me, is reworking history in a different context. But to get to your question, so in the midst of writing this book, my intent was not to say this team would have won a national championship, this team would have won that game, this team. I don't interject my opinion. And that's one of the reasons why I didn't write a paragraph explaining why I thought Nebraska would have beat Tennessee. Well, they did play Tennessee, so I just put the exact score of the game because they did play. And then in the other seasons, what happened there is that I was in the midst, while I was starting to think about this book, of producing videos. And I did 1983, 84, 90, 96, 2000. I did a bunch of the controversial, 97, did a bunch of the controversial seasons, and I left my opinion out of it. I just wanted to lay out, these were the the resumes. These are the records, the schedules. And I just left the videos after I did like 3 or 4 of them. And all I got in the comment section was, who would have won this game? We want to hear who you thought would have won this game. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know who would have won between Michigan and Nebraska. I have no idea. I watched all the games. I watched both of them play almost every game that season. I have definite opinions about, but I think it's ridiculous to say who would have won a game between 2 teams that good. Now, if you would have said, who would have won between Nebraska and Northwestern, well, yeah, sure, we can assume Nebraska wins that game. But between championship caliber teams, but I got such a push on people asking me to project what would have happened. I just kind of threw that in there. And I thought Florida State was they were just probably the most talented team in the country. They were loaded. And the interesting part of the Michigan-Nebraska debate is I think both fan bases can cling to very strong points. And for Michigan, they played a more consistent season top to bottom. They played a tougher schedule, not by a ton, but they played 7 ranked opponents. And those are and Michigan was more balanced both sides of the ball, extremely, strong both sides of the ball. That was Michigan's argument. Nebraska's argument is they came on and of course the Michigan argument is basically Nebraska got lucky. I very rarely say that like somebody got lucky. I usually say, no, they took advantage. No, Nebraska got lucky. The ball got kicked off a cleat up in the air and got caught for a touchdown to save them because otherwise the game's over. They lost.
Michigan would win definitively at that point. Probably.
Yeah, absolutely. It wouldn't even be close. They would have probably gotten every vote. So that's Michigan's argument. Nebraska's argument is that they played better down the stretch. Michigan's kind of quasi Big Ten championship game was against Ohio State. It was a really close game. Basically, Charles Woodson saved their butt. He was amazing. Hit a punt return for a TD, an interception, a long run.
Right.
And they slipped by Ohio State. And then their bowl game came down to the last play of the game. Ryan Leaf was chucking it in the end zone to try to pull out the win versus Nebraska just steamrolling Peyton Manning and Tennessee. So that's the Nebraska argument, and that's the Michigan argument.
Isn't it also true? Correct me if I'm wrong here, because I'm not as sharp on this argument. I haven't done this debate in a while. But doesn't Michigan have the better head-to-head on the matchups, like the common opponents? I mean, I'm sorry, I thought I remember Michigan having better win margins against common opponents. Is that true? I can't remember.
That is a great question because I think they both did play Colorado. I should pull that up. I should have remembered that better.
I've seen people make that argument. I've not had this debate in a while because at the end of the day, I'm of the position you are, Mark. Like their national champ. Like, listen, we won the national title. Nebraska won theirs. They're just victims of the circumstances at the time.
Yeah, to me, it would be different if Michigan rolled everyone 50-0, and the other team we were talking about was like this school that just kind of popped out of nowhere. North Carolina just kind of made their way through this crazy season and they were undefeated. But, you're talking about like 2 great stacked teams from great conferences that played great football. But that common opponent question, I'm not prepared for that. I do vaguely, but I'm trying to think who they would have both played. We can pull up the schedules.
27-3 Michigan. What did Nebraska do? Let's do this live.
27-24.
24. Yes.
So there's your common opponent.
Debate over. Michigan's the greatest. Debate over.
So the only thing you said wrong there, TJ, was common opponents. Opponent.
It counts.
So yeah, they did play a better game. Absolutely.
There you go.
Yeah, I do think it's interesting that, and I guess like back then, I mean, which out of the 2 polls, the AP and the coaches, I mean, they both have their flaws, right? And they both had you've talked about the AP in the past and how some of the writers, they don't dive into as holistically. And obviously the coaches poll, Nebraska won by 2, right? It was 32-30. And one could argue Nebraska had a pretty successful PR campaign with Osborne retiring.
Yes, absolutely. So I don't think this is a valid argument from the standpoint of just judging the 2 football teams, but this is a valid argument in regards to the way it went down, is that Michigan going into the bowl season, they had a substantial lead in both polls. And there are a couple conspiracy theories. One would be, Nebraska did play a more impressive bowl game. And so while Michigan had a lead in both polls, somehow these magically turned out that one group of voters were like, oh, we'll be the ones to vote for Michigan. And then, the coaches poll went the Tom Osborne way. And there's also conspiracy thought out there that Philip Fulmer voted Michigan like down a few spots as well. Now, what he had against Michigan, I don't recall, but that's also
is he a
part
Buckeye?
of the conspiracy. No.
Mm-hmm. I have to look it up now.
This will be one of those peak off-season topics that we will continue hitting every year, probably.
Yeah, somebody in the chat might know that, because that's one of those things that I've long since forgotten. Like 10
someone
years
in the
ago
chat might. Absolutely.
One of those things I used to know. But I don't want to hijack your show, but I will let everyone know that the fun part of this book, at least for me, because a lot of people aren't into history, and I get it, and it's not just a history book, but I really loved taking each one of these seasons, 1990 through 99, and then putting them into the BCS era, the 14 playoff era, the 12-team playoff era, to show how they would have played out and who would have made the playoffs. Because to look at some of these playoff teams, it's kind of funny to see Southern Miss would have been in the playoff. East Carolina would have been in the playoff. And even in the teams in the power conferences, it's kind of funny to look, wow, really? They would have been in the playoff.
Yeah, Fresno State is in here. That's there's some interesting ones. So yeah, I think it's also good because it's not like a super verbose book. You get the bite size kind of for each piece and some rationales, but like it's you can read it without getting overwhelmed. And I think that's something that less is more sometimes, and you can definitely get that. But Mark, we do actually have a few super chats that are directed in part to you, so I figure we could hit those. So Bull with the $4.99 says, I listen to a ton of Michigan podcasts and shows on YouTube. This by far hits all the topics and keeps us informed and in the know. Good job, Mark. We didn't get Bull to say that, but
well, these guys alluded to it before they brought me on. We started a Michigan channel a long, long time ago, and we kind of pieced things together in a certain way, and we did a decent job. And I try to be as objective as possible. But the joke of me coming on here hosting a Michigan show every week, there's a little irony there. But I did my best, and I'd bring on Michigan people, and we did a decent job. But did not build the community, did not come anywhere close to diving into recruiting and the nuances of Michigan football, the university, everything that goes on there. Like these two guys right here, they have just raised it through the roof a million times over.
Thank you.
Yeah. Appreciate that. Nick has a question for you. So I know Nick called Nick likes to call the main show, the college football show that's every weekday at 4 p.m. Eastern, and then there's one late night one usually. So Nick was on there, but now he's asking you about your thoughts on 1984 BYU.
That's a bit of a running joke. We've got a caller that's been calling in for quite a few years that he's hung up on a video I posted in 19 or I'm sorry. Yeah, it almost seems like it was that long ago. In 2020, the video is like 5.5 years old, and he's still. I went back because he called the other day. I went back and he had left like 33 comments like in the last 2 weeks to that video. So he's still going. It just pisses him off beyond belief. So
Doreen's here. So Doreen is one of our Buckeye community members and also a mod, and Doreen is now 10 months membership. So we really appreciate that. And Mark with my favorite Wolverines next to Blue Wolverine, who no argument there. Blue Wolverine's great too.
absolutely. And I'll say real quick about Nick. He called the other night and we talked the whole scandal. And it's just great to have a reasonable discussion with somebody, not agree on everything, but we probably agreed on 90%. And we went back and forth. And I think he appreciates that I can say a lot of this is ridiculous and so forth. And Michigan won a national championship, and he can certainly understand my points on where I think there's certain validity to the investigation and so forth. And we have a great discussion.
Yeah. He's a definitely a knowledgeable caller, and he he's a personality like everybody, but like he knows his football, and that's one thing you can always appreciate about him. Blue Wolverine has a super chat for us. Mark finally has the winged helmet back on the shelf. It's there. I see it.
I threw it up there just in time.
And Nebraska, the perfect. You got both of them up there for the 97 discussion.
What I love about college football fans, guys, is a couple off seasons ago, I did a live stream and I did 1997, Michigan, Nebraska. And I went through, rush defenses versus, looked at all the great players. And do you think I had one Michigan fan come into the chat or call the show that budged at all to say there was any chance that Nebraska could win that game? And do you think I had any Nebraska fans that gave any, 1 inch of the argument to say there's a possibility Michigan could have won that game? No, every Michigan fan, no way. We don't lose that game. Every Nebraska fan, we win that game. There's no doubt about it. And that was my perfect display to say, College Football Nation, you are who I want you to be. That's who you are. You're fans. I get it.
Yeah. When you, and to this, I'm sure you're not going to be shocked about this at all, but when you run the who would win simulations on both of those teams, Michigan wins in the big house, Nebraska wins at their house, and when it's a neutral ground, it's kind of a mixed bag, and depending on the conditions you put in. So it's just one of those where you just wish that the game could be played.
No doubt.
Awesome. Mark, always good to have you on, and you know that you have ownership privilege of bouncing on literally anytime you feel like it. But it was great. It was great chatting with you. So I do want everybody to go to an Amazon near you. And I have the link right a bunch of places, and Jackson's been posting it and Moose has been posting it, to go at $9.99. I mean, come on. And you got a nice snapshot of the 1990s and all of the disputed national championships going on in that decade. So definitely recommend everybody check it out. Mark, I don't know if you had any other things you wanted to let people know about that are coming up, or final thoughts for us?
I don't think so. We've got a call-in show on our channel just about every day, so we appreciate people stopping by for that. And otherwise, we just do our thing there, covering all of college football. But you guys are in the right place as Michigan fans, so keep it locked in with these two and keep supporting. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Mark, for the kind words.
Thanks for coming by, Mark. And of course, Tom couldn't help himself, but throw one more out. Mark, you would look good in a Michigan ball cap brother. So that's food for thought there.
What's funny is we had a Buckeye actually mention that he thinks if there was a fan portal, Mark would be willing to hop in and become a Michigan fan. Now I know how crazy that is because me and Mark have these conversations all the time behind the scenes, and I can't see that happening.
Mm-mm. Yeah.
No, I'm too old and set in my ways.
Plus, you don't even like the way our jerseys and helmets look.
I really, it's iconic. So
Yeah.
of course I got to have a level of
Right.
respect for it, but like nothing looks like turning on the TV at noon on the last Saturday of November and seeing those two uniforms, whether it's the white and the blue, or it's the scarlet versus the white in Columbus, and seeing those two teams on the same field and seeing that headgear on the same field. It's just still brings just chills to my spine. Especially the last 4 years, it brought chills to my spine. But beyond that, even at the beginning of the game, yes.
Just wait for this November, Mark.
Oh yeah, back at the big house.
Yeah, we'll see.
I'll share this little story that takes about 10 seconds.
Sure.
2021, obviously, that's when Michigan broke through. It was like 1 o'clock in the morning the night before. And there was, at this point, you guys have to relate to this. It didn't cross my mind that Ohio State could lose these games. It did. Like every year when they go through the hype videos right at the beginning of the game, it bring me back to like the 90s, and like then I'd start to get nervous. But like during the week with the analysis and everything, I was like, and then my daughter texted me, and she texted me a weather forecast in Ann Arbor the next day, and I went, and I just had this bad feeling that I couldn't shake. Like snow flurries, CJ Stroud, Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave. I don't like this. Yeah.
Well, to your credit, I do remember when you were the Michigan therapy hotline, because Steve Dace and definitely Steve, and I called in, and I after the Michigan State loss, and I was like I don't know what's going on with the team, and it's like same old, and you did say like, hey, anything's possible, and beating Ohio State is possible. And
I was delivering some therapy for quite some time, defending Jim Harbaugh too. I was a Jim Harbaugh defender and apologist for a couple of years. Said, keep that guy. Look at what he's done. He's doing a great job there. He's fine. He's close.
Yep.
All right. Well, Mark, always great to have you on. Jackson was saying earlier, he posted the exact date of the last show, so we definitely will want to bring you on before another 365 days. Like, well, you're definitely welcome back on, and we'll have you back on for some topics for sure coming up here.
We should have you back on to preview the season. Your thoughts on how you think Michigan's going to do, and then the Big Ten overall.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, let's do it.
Because I certainly think that 8.5's going to get blown past.
Really? All right. Ooh, there you go.
Wow.
There you go. You heard it here first.
Red alert.
Very good. All right, Mark. Thank you for coming on.
All right, guys. Thanks. Good to see you.
Thanks, Mark.
Man, Mark is more confident than me because I'm a bit nervous on our overall win projection.
Yeah, I'm still feeling maybe 10.
I'm at 9, but what's it?
Maybe 10. I want playoffs, and even if Michigan's in like the 11 or the 10 or 11 spot, I want playoffs.
I don't care if we're in the 12th spot. I don't care. I want in the playoffs.
Is 12 always the designated G5 spot, or is that just
it might be? I don't know.
Could they go up?
You know what, John? I wouldn't know. I have not been in a 12-team playoff. I've only been in 14 playoffs, so I don't know what that. Don't know.
Yeah, who? Yeah,
the top 4 teams, John.
Yeah, who would ever want to have this like Mickey Mouse playoff situation? Yeah. Skate by
the greatest run in playoff history. All right, you were an 8 seed or whatever the hell you were. Chill out, relax. We beat all these top 5 teams. It's the playoffs, sir. Come on, clowns.
Doreen said, "Sorry for name calling. Spyro is a dick." No, you can say that.
Doreen,
That's
you have a hall pass.
you.
Go on.
Listen, some people deserve it, and Spyro and Buckeye Scoop deserve it. So we can,
You have a hall pass.
you know, but members of the community, who are just talking ball and just hanging out, like, let's be good to those people. But Spyro can, he's a big boy. He can take it. All right. So we've got obviously the 2 shows for you every week, and Michigan Wolverines call-in show live now not only has TJ, but every week Johnny Olden Jr. So exciting that is happening. You guys have been crushing it. So anything we should know for this upcoming one?
It's just been fun. It's been fun. It's been nice having Johnny on. I'm happy. I'm very happy with that decision, and yeah, we're just having fun, man. And the community has come through. Has just come through. The support has been immense. So thank you to everybody. Just really happy to have everybody be a part of that show, because that's what the show is. It's the show for the community. It's the show for the fan base. So really, really happy with it. I guess the only thing I'll say, John, is because apparently Garrison's going to call me out. Garrison is going to try and checkmate me next Thursday. We'll see what's up. Oh, shout out to GT, by the way. He knows.
Yeah,
he
okay.
knows I'll tell you after.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I'll tell you after.
Well, so I'll definitely you get your popcorn. I'll be at a conference in Florida. So I'll do, but I still try to listen in even when I'm not, I'm doing stuff, and I'll try to pop by the chat, because it's always, especially if you and Garrison are going to have a battle royale.
That's the word on the street. So we'll see what's up. We'll see.
Nice. All right. So everybody, don't forget to follow us. As you can see from the beautiful new backdrop we've got, at TJ_Ronin, at John Diadamo. You see it here. Follow us on X, follow us on Instagram, and get some really, I think, some fun takes. I think we have some good takes on there sometimes, and some GIFs and all of that good stuff.
Is it GIFs or GIFs? Chat, let us know.
I've heard it both ways.
Or GIFs?
Yeah, let's hear it.
Yeah, wouldn't it be funny? Because how are you going to spell it out? It's going to be GIF. It's GIF. All right.
All right, y'all. Well, that's going to do it for us.
It's hard G.
Okay. GIF.
I like peanut butter. All right.
GIF, because GIF is peanut butter. Okay.
All right. You learn every day.
All right.
Appreciate it, chat.
Yeah, some really interesting responses here. Thank you all so much. And like I said, next show, Thursday night, 8 p.m. Eastern. We're going to leave you actually with a Mark Rogers comment to remind everybody to hit the Amazon link. And until next time, go blue, and we'll see y'all soon.
Go blue.
You can make a difference here at the Voice of College Football. Use the Amazon link. Financially contribute to the Voice of College Football without spending a penny. Same shopping experience. It's easy. Go to any video on any channel. Go to the description section and grab the link right next to the capital letters that say Amazon. Use that link, and Amazon will instantaneously convert to your account, settings, history, everything intact, just like whatever link you use right now. No difference. Pay no attention to the product that you see right there. Just go search what you want. Don't forget the Amazon link. Thank you for your support. Sincerely, the Voice of College Football.